Hey there, welcome back to the Evolution Podcast with Mac and Jenn. We are here today and we are excited to talk, right?
Yep.
Yep. Um,
Go through some discovery
yep.
on what does it take to be decisive? Like what's actually required outside of just making a decision? Got any ideas?
So we're going to talk about making decisions. What's it take?
Yeah, and just not waiting around, just making a decision, doing what you want, being active, being one of those competent people.
Okay, so what's required to make a decision?
Yeah, well, to be decisive,
To be
yeah,
decisive.
to be quick and make decisions and get it done and be one of those people.
Okay, what's the answer?
I don't know. What do you know what the answer is? I got some ideas.
Okay, the first, look how bright I look. The
Yeah.
first thing that comes to mind is certainty.
Certainty. How do you get certainty?
By knowing what you want.
Okay. How do you get confidence?
Um, how do you get confidence?
Yeah.
Confidence comes when you follow through on promises you make to yourself,
So like keeping your own commitments.
keeping your own commitments. Yes.
Discipline.
Discipline.
Okay. What else do you think?
How what's the question again?
Well, maybe I'll give some examples because I've been very indecisive at times in my life, and then other times I'm very decisive, and then sometimes I've had very low confidence and a low, like a very self-conscious in a respect, and then other times when I'm just like I'm just me. I don't really care what anybody thinks. So I remember way back, like middle school. Everything changes all the time, always uncertain, a lot of comparison around with other people, and then trying to please, trying to make sure I'm keep like fitting in the rules, doing, but yet not wanting to, but yet kind of doing it, and just really confusing. And I always admire the people that seem like they didn't care. Like they would just go do things like they didn't care. And sometimes it was maybe a little too much, like they're almost like a bully or aggressive or entitled. And so there's then this conflict of, what's what, which is which, what's right, what's wrong. And trying to figure out over the years to say, how do I get really confident, be myself, be decisive, be a leader, but not a dictator or domineer over people. And so what are the things that have to be done? And typically there's a lot of people that don't really know how to do this, and they don't even know how to be decisive with their kids. They're a parent, they're trying to lead their kids, and they're not decisive because they're trying to please their kids and they feel like that's what they're supposed to do, and kind of forget that they're the parent in a sense, as far as the kids don't know what they're doing. Like some of this stuff with like letting your kids choose their gender or their pronouns, like you've got to be kidding me. God put you over the, like, as a steward over the kid. They there's no way they could know what's right for them. No freaking way possible. It doesn't mean that you domineer over them or do anything else. Like you listen, you observe, you can keep them, but you're trying to protect their innocence, and letting them be steered by the world's version of whatever is, I don't know, crazy. It's like that's never going to help them be confident. Okay, like you're actually letting them go into a path of self-destruction in a sense. So when you're looking at that, it's like, okay, well, all right, I want to be more confident, and I've gone through the roller coaster on this. Like I've gone from like the bottom of the totem pole and then went up to the top, got a little bit arrogant, a little cocky, got knocked back down, and then went back up this way, and just kind of done this like crazy roller coaster until I get to like the real meat of how to actually be confident, how to be decisive, and not. It's I care what other people think to a degree, but I do what I know is right. And when I do that, I do not care what anyone else's opinion is. And so then the decisiveness comes out very aggressively. But if I am not keeping the commitments with myself, I begin second guessing. Oh, I don't know what we're doing. Well, what am I doing? Well, what about this? What about that? And I begin questioning. Like even if I might be focused on some area of business, and then she wants to, like, well, I want to take her on a date, but I haven't really thought about it. So then it's like, well, what do you want to do? And then all of a sudden it's this, what do you want to do? Well, I don't know. I'll do what you want to do. Well, what do you want to do? Well, and it's this indecisive bullshit that just gets annoying. And usually if I start to sense that, I'll just be like, okay, this is what we're doing. And we just go, like, but it's better if I'm proactively working on something inside our relationship. So I'm keeping almost like a commitment in the relationship, as far as, what do we do nightly? What do we do daily? How are we connecting? Are we spending time together? Is there a set scheduled time for something? Can we plan it ahead, or sometimes be spontaneous? But which am I doing? And so when I actually have a plan, and there doesn't need to be a, well, what do you think? What do you that? Other than a simple, hey, are you good with this time, this day of doing whatever, of just checking in. But most of the time, um, if there is something, she'll just tell me. Otherwise, it's like, I'm just going to go make a plan. And she's like, great, perfect. The less I know, the better sometimes. And it just makes it easy. So it's more fun in a sense of, it's spontaneous. It's a little bit uncertain, exciting, that type of thing. So without going into everything, I'm gonna come back to you. Um, you've always been more confident probably than a lot of people, I think, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I think so.
like pretty good confidence, like self-worth.
I think more so lately, just over the last like 4, 5 years, six
Hmm.
years.
What do you think has been the one of the biggest things for you?
For what?
Just being able to be decisive in what you're doing.
Well, I always like really I say that I trust in my ability to make decisions,
Hmm.
meaning I trust myself because I would say over the last 5, 6 years, I've really worked on not living life through a lens of fear. And so I tend to like listen to what my heart says.
Hmm.
And when I listen to my heart and ignore my head, then I just make the decision from my heart. And so when I do it like that, I feel like I'm being guided rather than making decisions from fear. Because usually the fear comes when my head gets involved and starts like, if there's a decision in my head, like, well, you shouldn't do that because you might somebody your kid your whatever, like whatever
Fear,
excuse,
just
whatever, if I hear fear, i I try to go the opposite because I don't want to live my life through a lens of fear. And so I trust that if it's my heart saying go, I go. And if it's the right decision or if it looks like the wrong decision, either way, it's okay because it's the decision that I made. And because I made it, it's perfect. And it's either for me to grow. So it doesn't matter if it's like right or wrong. It just is, as long as I'm following my heart and not making moves from fear. That's how I think I have lived my life over the last like 5, 6 years, trying to just trust myself and trust the decisions that I make and trust that I always say that God has my back.
but there's, one of the things that I'm that's like underlying to that, right,
Mm-hmm.
is when you say you're making a decision, you're actually intentionally asking yourself the question. It's not like life is coming at you and you're making decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you get the confidence in your decision, is you're asking, you're looking for some form of guidance,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're doing it. And then once you kind of commit to it, you have the faith in it and you commit to it, then you're just like, no, I'm done. Like, this is the decision I made. I'm just going to move through it. And whatever happens is like, it's going to be good either way.
Mm-hmm. I used to make decisions, very reactive decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And when I lived my life that way, my life kind of looked like chaos a little bit, I think. So once like now that I slow down, and yeah, I do, I listen and I'm like, okay, what's my heart saying? What's my head saying? Is it fear or is it faith? And I like to follow the one that's like being guided through faith, because I feel like when I do that and trust kind of blindly, um, everything always ends up working out better,
Yeah.
as far as I think. When I make decisions from a lens of fear, or if I'm if and when I say that, like, what does that mean through a lens of fear? Meaning, like, if I'm going to, if there's an opportunity presented to me and my head starts telling me all the reasons why I shouldn't do it, and it's coming from fear, then I know, like, okay, no, I need to do it because I don't want to live in fear.
Or at least investigate where the fear is coming from, handle it, or because sometimes things can come at you just to show you that you have fear to,
And
to be addressed.
sometimes if you're making a decision between two things and there's fear on both sides, like, of course there could be a little fear because, like, we are human, right?
Yep.
And then it's just like, well, like, where's my heart really, like, pulling me, which direction, like, really listen to, like, the heart. And sometimes, like, I'll have to sit in, like, a gratitude and ask myself the question, like, what do I want? I put myself in a state of gratitude, ask myself what I want, and my heart usually gives me the answer very quickly, and then I just go with that one, because the minute I let my head get in the way, it'll start talking me out of it.
Yeah. So, you know what? One of the areas that I know you were very decisive in was when you were dating, right?
Hmm.
So, what? Let's unpack this a little bit. Let's say that you met somebody, and this could go for women or men, doesn't matter. And you meet somebody, and you've got to you know what you want. You've got a clear message, but there's this one thing that's just not quite lining up, right? What do you do?
I listen again. It says, because I'm listening, like, is there fear coming in? Like, so if I meet somebody and we're not perfectly aligned, but my head wants me to stay
Mm.
there. Why does my head want me to stay there? Well, my head wants me to stay there. Why? Because I'm scared that I don't want to be alone, or I'm scared that, maybe I'm getting too old. I listen to, like, the limiting
Mm.
beliefs, like, you're too old, you won't find anybody better. Um,
Yeah.
maybe this is all that as good as it gets.
Yeah. Don't be greedy. Don't be selfish. The stuff that goes through your heads.
Right, like, whatever. And if I start hearing that fear, if I would have stayed with any of those men
Mm.
because I wasn't listening, um like, I would have been making what I would think would have not been the right decision for me, probably.
Mm.
So I'm like, okay, like, I hear I don't want to be alone, but I'm not going to stay with this guy just because I don't want to be alone.
Yeah.
So I have to trust that something better and more aligned is coming.
Mm. So the it's just really knowing what you want and how you want to feel, and then in the moment, no matter how good it is, asking yourself, is this feeling being fulfilled? And if it's if there's a piece missing, or if it's like an 8 out of 10, it's like it's not good enough. We have to either raise it or leave it, right?
Raise it or leave it.
Like figure out what's holding it back,
Sure.
because
Hmm.
there could be something simple as far as, I'm assuming that there's a problem here. Am I clear? Like, is there an actual problem?
Hmm.
Right. They could be something like that. Because our sometimes our minds will play games and think, well, I don't know, is she into me? Is she not into me? Well, she's doing this. Well, why is she doing that? Did you ask? Well, maybe you ask, and then you ask, well, I'm just, and then if it were me, I'm very direct. So when I was dating, if something seemed off, I just asked very well, are you into me or not? Like I'm trying to read this, but you're really quiet. So I'm kind of curious on where you at this point in the game. It's like, oh yeah, I am, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much? It's like, okay, well, if they tell me a 10, then I'm like, okay, well, that helps raise whatever is going on in my head, raise the belief. I'm just very direct. I mean, that in itself is a decisive move.
Well, that's good too, because like if there's a question, it's best not to assume.
Yes.
So like I would even ask I would maybe ask a guy. I would not ask that question. I would say, "Hey, like what's the deal?"
Yeah, like just kind of thinking, I want some clarity.
Yeah,
So,
give me some clarity because like I'm it feels off.
mhm.
And so I'm either going to like what's going on and then what they tell you will kind of dictate what I do next.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably going to be the decisiveness of the decision right there, because if he leans in or leans away, right there's going to be either a nope, we're good, or we're done,
Right.
right? So there is that little switch of like, okay, if it's not a 10, where is it? Can we get it to a 10, or is it just like it is what it is, and typically it is what it is. The feelings will get there. You just got to sometimes clarify yourself. So one of the keys of being decisive is consistently reevaluating your goals. You gonna say something?
No, I'm just listening.
Okay. So that when you have an objective like a relationship, you're consistent. That should be a consistent evolution of your relationship, of your desires, your wants, and that comes from taking actions, right? Like if you say you want a relationship, one of the actions you should be taking is going on dates, learning about new people, having conversations, making friends, whatever it is. And that commitment to yourself is one of those disciplines also that can be used to create that confidence. Well, I'm just going to keep doing this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and in the action of it, you're proving to yourself that I'm willing to figure this out, I'm willing to do this. And so then things keep coming your way. Like the sometimes it's hard or challenging, or it takes time or money. It's like, well, you got to work at your own pace and make one step, another step, another step. And then when they come in, you know what you want, you can feel it. It's like, okay, yep, move on. But that evolution of your desires should be always happening, because you'll experience something and be like, did that give me the feeling I wanted? Because sometimes we'll get things where we said we wanted it and we get it almost verbatim. It's like, yes, but no. Like I was kind of thinking, I had this different feeling that I was looking for, and then I got it. I didn't get that feeling that I thought I was going to get. And in that moment, it's like, okay, well, how do I get the feeling that I want? I don't want to settle for something I don't feel. Like I want all the greatest feelings and emotions and craziness and all that. Like I want all of it. I'm not too attached to the story of how I get it, but I still kind of have a story of how I think I'm going to get it. Right. That's, we all do those things. So that evolution of what do I actually want kind of stays focused on the feeling, but might evolve the story of how it comes in, or the method of getting it, or maybe even heightens it a little bit, because you're always moving, so you're gaining more certainty, more ground, more authority, all those different things.
Hmm.
So that's a great decisiveness in dating, right? If I'm not receiving the feeling I want, then I'm just going to leave. Now, like we said in the beginning, keeping your commitments to yourself. If you have these commitments to like work out daily, to get in shape, to do these, like let's say it's physical body commitments to yourself, eat healthy, do some type of a workout, and keep yourself in a good healthy state, and then you're not doing it, you're eating like shit, you're maybe drinking, you're addicted to something, you're just not taking care of yourself, right? And then all of a sudden somebody walks up that's a potential relationship partner, you have no certainty, you have no ability to be decisive, because you're already in fear, because you're not living up to what the standard that you set on yourself.
And when you're lying to yourself,
Mm.
when you're lying to yourself, it's hard to trust yourself to make decisions.
Yeah, and it's like you can see through you, so you think the other person can see through you, so you self-sabotage in that, and you become weak, and you're indecisive, and you're constantly, this is what it is, you're constantly looking for the other person's approval through asking questions rather than being decisive, right? Because it's like, well, if I just make a decision, maybe it's wrong, I don't know, so maybe I should feel it out and see where she's at. So now I'm going to see where she's at to know whether or not I'm going to do this thing or not do this thing. It's weak, versus being like, hey, this, and I practice this, I mean, even to this day, like, but really a lot when we were dating, where I'll just want to do something and I'll say, hey, what do you think about doing this? And it's off the wall because I don't want to come into a conversation of just being like, well, I want to do something. You want to do something? And it almost stresses her out. It doesn't mean I haven't done that or I'm not going to do that. It just is like sometimes I'm like, well, I don't want to add stress to her plate. I don't know if she's thought about it. I don't really care. I just want to do something fun and I want to do it with her. And so, hey, what do you think about going and jumping in the lake? It's just it's not something I'm probably gonna do, but it makes her think, what? And it starts the conversation for me.
Sometimes the thought of making a decision does like stress me out, and I just want to be told what to do.
Yeah. I think a lot of people kind of get that way. And I've seen a lot of men get that way with dealing with their wives. Well, I just want to keep you happy. So why don't you just tell me what to do and I'll just go do it? It's easier for me to work, so I'll just do it. But it's like it puts the woman in the masculine energy instead of the guy just being like, hey, this is what I want to do. So this is what I'm going to do.
Mhm.
And does she always agree with everything that I want to do? Well, not necessarily, because sometimes I go do stuff by myself. And she wants to spend time with me, and she's like, "Well, you're just gonna do your thing with yourself." It's
Mm.
like, yeah, and it's kind of hard because it's like I don't want to like I want to always be with her. I want to always fill her up and everything else, but it's like, yeah, but I still got to take care of me. Like I have my commitments to myself that I got to find joy. That's my commitment to me. So if I'm finding joy, whether the once in a while I go do something with by myself or with some friends, or I'm looking for something to do with her where I just say, hey, what do you think about going to a movie? I mean, it could be that simple. Hey, let's go eat here, or let's go out and eat. Where do you want to eat? And I don't know, whatever. I was like, do you have a preference? No. All right, let me look, and I'll just try to make a decision. Right.
What do you do if you need to make a decision between two amazing things?
Flip a coin.
Flip a coin.
Yeah, I mean that. Like if it's like equally amazing, and I'm seriously neutral, the decisiveness really literally comes down to flip a coin. I just made the decision for us. We're done. Right? Like, I mean, that could be
Mexican food or Italian?
Italian right now. It's
Flip
just
a
kind of
coin.
how I'm feeling. So, well, both, but if I'm leaning to one way and you bring me the options, I'm already assuming that you don't care.
Mhm.
So if I'm leaning towards Italian, now what I might say is like which Italian, right? Because there's differences in like there's some Italian places where they have a great steak, but then there's another Italian place where I don't want a steak. I want some chicken fettuccine, and because it's the best there.
What if it's break up with him or stay with him? And there's like fear in both, and
If that's the question, you're done. I mean, it's that
break up or
simple.
stay.
Yeah, you're done. You break up. Like if you are looking at a relationship and asking yourself, do I stay or do I leave? You're done. Because if it's tens, you're not asking yourself about leaving. Yeah, right? Like,
If it's tens,
yeah, yeah. I mean,
well, no, and maybe it's not tens, but
if
maybe
you're
there's
getting,
room for like maybe it's like, well, I don't, this is not what I want, but we've been together for 10 years and I feel like we can work through this.
you
But
know,
at the same time, like I can't stand him.
you said something in that post that I referred to
Uh-huh.
that was just like straight up. It was honest and it was gold.
Mm-hmm.
Um, where you said, sometimes by walking away gets him to step up and be what he wanted to be anyway,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you hold the standard. So a guy, if a girl goes into a relationship and starts giving a guy what he wants, there's no reason for him to advance the relationship, right? And she's like, well, I want a commitment. And he's like, why would I commit to you? Like I'm getting everything I want. Like it, not, but he won't say that. What he'll say is like, well, I just don't believe in that. He'll justify some other thing. So if the woman is like, well, I do. So unfortunately, I just don't think this is going to work out because like I do want a commitment and this is what I want. And she's not going and running off to her friends and trying to get credible evidence and everything else. And well, this is what he should do and should do and should do. She's just dead honest. Right. speaks the truth.
Yeah. So if he says, I don't want a commitment,
Hmm.
but you're a woman and you do want one,
Hmm.
then you really need to, like, that's when you really take that time to sit and like listen to what your heart says.
Hmm.
Because if he's telling you he doesn't want one and he won't give that to you, um
Take,
you need to take that as truth,
yeah, take it as truth.
and don't try think, oh well, he'll change his mind or I'll get him to change his mind or anything like that, because like, you won't.
No.
So
And if he does, it's worse.
because then there may be resentment in the
Yeah,
future,
because now he's doing it to not lose, and you're both doing something to not lose.
and that's coming from a place of fear.
Yep. Versus being very decisive and saying, I'm not receiving the feelings I'm looking for, and going to him and saying, look, I really appreciate everything. I think you're amazing and great. However, I'm not fulfilled in the feelings of a commitment that I think I'm looking for. And I understand if that's just not something you can give me, that it just kind of means that we're not the right fit.
It doesn't mean that anybody's right or anybody's wrong or anybody's bad or anything like that. What you said is exactly what it means. It just means that we are just not
Yeah.
aligned with what we want,
Yeah.
and that's okay. So like,
And he might come back and say, well, okay, well, I guess if that's what you want, I could look, or he's like, okay, well, I'll commit. If he does that, it's like, yeah, I'm not buying it.
mm,
Right? Like, you need to bring to me some evidence that like you're actually looking for a commitment, or you need to go heal whatever is stopping you, or go play and figure out whatever you're doing, and then come find me later if I'm still available. Because it's just like, you don't want somebody changing in the moment, in the very moment that you put pressure on them. Um, However, if you were dating, and it's like, well, I don't know if I believe in marriage, or I don't know anything about marriage, and you're like, well, I do, so I'm not sure, like, you seem amazing, but I'm not sure that we are going to have another date, because this is something that I do want, and if you don't want that, then we're probably not a good fit. And he's like, well, let me reframe that. Let me, like, I'm not going to rush into anything. I don't want to do this. I blah blah blah, whatever. I don't know. And you might say something like, well, tell me this: if you have a relationship that is amazing, that you mold very well with someone, that you can communicate and be yourself, be truly honest, do your thing, everything, like the a perfect relationship. You're telling me you wouldn't get married? Well, no, that's not what I'm saying. Like, I would, if that was the case, then I'd get married. Okay, well, why don't we just do that? Why don't we figure out if we're best friends or not? Now, typically, this should be led by a guy. That conversation shouldn't be normally led by a woman. Doesn't mean it can't be. It's just going to look a little different than that. But as a guy, if a woman was like, no, whatever, and I'm like, well, let me just clarify. So you're like, if you received everything you wanted, would you be in or out for marriage? Like, you could do this, you do this. Now if they start backpedaling and saying, well, I just want my freedom, I just want that, you're not ready, move on. I'm just not even going to engage the conversation. Like, you have too much healing to do, you got too much baggage. I'm not going to play this game. I'm going to be honest to you and tell you this is actually the truth, which most guys won't do. Most guys will not look at a woman and just say, listen, you have too much baggage for me to stick around. Like, I'll be your friend and I can help you out a little bit, maybe. But here's the thing: you're going to get attached to me because I don't need you. I don't like, and I'm pushing you away. So you get that fear of missing out happening. And so when I go date someone else, you're going to get pissed off and take off anyway. But let me just tell you the truth: no real man that you say you want is going to put up with this. So you need to heal your stuff so that you are ready for that level of a relationship. Don't tell me you want a man and then tell me you don't believe in the whatever people call marriage, or something. So go ahead.
oh, I was just thinking you're gonna say, like, if you once you as a woman like kind of raise the standards for yourself and what you'll tolerate, if men won't meet you there, it becomes easy to let them go. If you still have a lot of healing to do and you are reacting and making choosing out of fear, that's when you end up in quote unquote relationships with more like toxic type
Mm-hmm.
relationships with men that are only giving you breadcrumbs because
Yeah.
that's what you allow.
Yeah. And so you have to be very clear in what you want, what you're going after. My thing was I'm going to continue to work towards connecting with God more and more. That's one of my goals. Like I want to feel like I can be in God's presence in a very good way. How that looks for me is different than anybody else. But as I did that, there were things that I did inside of a relationship where I changed the game. Like not a little bit, but I made big changes, like quit having sex at one point until we figured out if we were getting married. And then once we decided we were going to get married, then I was like, not until we're married. And then, like random different stuff that's not always easy, that can create a lot of uncertainty. But I was so certain in what had to be done that it's just like, this is what's going to have to happen. And just the little different things that we move along with, like, hey, you know what, I need to investigate this is my decision.
Yeah, well, if when you decided that we were going to stop having sex before we decided we were going to get married, um the fear that came into your mind was like, if I tell her this, if I tell her we're going to stop having sex, am I going to make her upset? And that was the fear. Like, I don't, like, you were maybe not going to say anything because I might get upset, or I
Well,
might take it the wrong
or
way.
even take it as like
So
second guessing what's going on, or do I love you, or like.
right. So that fear though that creeps in, if you would have listened to that and not stopped the
Mhm.
sex, then you would be making decisions out of fear.
And I wouldn't have got the answers I was looking for.
Right. So but because you followed your heart and the guidance you were getting that said you need to do this, and you're like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. But then but then your heart was like, no, you need to. You need some you need to be clear. Because you followed that, you were living your life with confidence and faith and certainty,
Yeah.
knowing that no matter what happens, it's going to be perfect because it's what's supposed to happen. And it's all good. Like nothing can go wrong when you're living life making decisions like that.
Yeah.
Somebody told me if you have, if you're debating between two amazing things, they said, make both stories the best stories ever and then pick the better one and do that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really really cool, so
Yeah.
I don't know, but I feel like we might need to wrap this up early,
Okay.
so why don't you like like
Give some steps here.
sure,
Okay.
give us
So
some
one
steps.
thing, you look at the different areas of your life, and if there's a fire or a problem in them, like if there's something going on with your body, then create some disciplinary steps to give yourself that confidence boost. It doesn't mean you have to change everything. If you're fat or overweight, all you need is a daily activity that's going to get you closer to that goal. Just anything. Like I've started this doing 20 push-ups. Like, is that really going to make a difference? No, but the commitment causes energy to happen, and the brain begins to do different things, and it's just like a chemical hormonal effect that begins to boost your confidence because you're just doing the work. So doing that activity, it could be a walk, it could be changing, like you might cut one thing out of your food that says nope, no more of this, and then you just stick to it. And it's hard, and it takes this discipline, but that focus causes energy, that causes confidence, and then you build off of that. Typically everybody that I know that has been able to do this, like actually said yes, this is what I want, and done it. Even if they start with something very simple, they start stacking on top of it more effort, more results, and then pretty soon they crush it. Right. Like, so that is a great confidence builder. Men should always have a physical game played out as far as like some type of a workout or energy burning activity. Even if it's like 20 push-ups, 20 setups, what something could be very basic, but being a man, you need that something fueling you to that degree, and then you stick to it like just glued to it, magnetic to that activity, because it's going to give you that certainty and confidence. Women, it might be a little different. It might be that you actually need to slow down sometimes, get more into a feminine thing, but with some physical activity, like a good walk, putting something positive in your mind. It I don't That's a little different. Sometimes the workout is great, some routine thing to kind of disconnect from the world, whether it's walk, run, whatever. But it makes you feel good. It makes you feel like you're doing something for yourself, and you're keeping a commitment. When it comes to your relationship, there should be some type of activity where you can keep a commitment inside of that. If your money is on fire, you need to figure out and know what's happening. Well, you should always know what's happening with your money. You should know the score. You should know where all the money's coming from that comes in and where it's going when it goes out. It doesn't mean you have to know to like every single penny, but you should be able to look back and be like, this is where my money went, and not assume that you're going to have money or not, because people tend to spend all the money they have unless you have designated authority of where the money goes. And in that, you can have a discipline that says, this is what I do. It's like paying tithing, right? Every week, I just pay tithing. I just, it's like, that's a discipline. It's like, this is what has to be done. So I just do it. And then guess what? There more money comes in, more money comes in, more money comes in. So if there's a problem in any of these areas, you're going to have a hard time having confidence. Even if there is a problem and you're doing something that is moving you forward through that problem, that will still give you the confidence you need to go out and be very decisive in it. The other is the feelings, right? When it comes to money, financial decisions, other things, like I've had fears and different things, where I was focused on a feeling. I was like, I want to feel good in this decision, and I signed over a business. I let it go. I was like, no, I'm done with this, because this way was darkness, this way was freedom. I was like, you know what? I don't care. I don't want to be part of darkness. I'm just gonna go. So I, boom, signed it off, and that was the end of that. So looking at where you're at and looking at how to make decisive decisions is pretty simple. If you're not making decisive decisions, then it means that you're probably breaking commitments somewhere in your life, and it's causing you to be insecure and second guess everything. Being decisive is not about bullying or forcing or anything else. It's typically about doing the right thing in alignment with a feeling that you have established and you continue to establish greater and greater things on. So simply, base level, start doing something for you, and then do it every day, or do it on a scheduled plan where you can keep that commitment moving over and over again. In the beginning, I think I started with listening to audios. That was daily activity. Listen to audios, daily activity. Then it started into reading books, daily activity. Then it started morning and night on both. Boom, boom, boom. You can also add in like prayer and things like that as well. And then physical, got to do something physical every night. So I do boom, boom, boom. And then every time I reestablish these or relook at them. And now at this point, I kind of relook at these every 3 months. Okay, where I'm at, what do I need to work on? Because sometimes I'll focus all my energy here, and one of the other ones will begin to break down a little bit, and I'll move back and forth. It's not about balance. It's about you making sure that you're doing something for you, so you believe in yourself, and then you doing what you need, not trying to please someone else or anything else. Be honest to yourself, be true to yourself, do the things that keep you happy, or at least get you the feelings that you're looking for, which means you got to stop long enough to figure out the feelings that you're looking for. So know what you want, take some activity towards it, have that ruthless commitment to doing it, activity, build that confidence. And when you're confident, do the right thing, and that will get you amazing results. It will keep you where you need to be and keep you growing and moving forward, which we're all looking for. Progress is happiness. And with that, I'm going to say, see you guys later. Um, and if you're curious about getting more like actual contact with us, we have a membership, the Evolution membership. It's on probably Jen's Facebook page is a great place to find it. If not, in some of the comments of the videos. So look at that. There's some uh, women only groups, men only groups, members have access, and then our elite members that we also have programs with. And we cover anything from physical body detox stuff, emotional detox, energy clearing, mental stuff. Like there's nothing we don't go for to make sure that our clients are winning. So have a wonderful day, and we will see you on the next podcast. Bye.